We're recording. Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Marin, and I'm the founder of the Expert Connect. The Expert Connect is a digital platform that is focused around mental health and wellness. We have experts from many different modalities here on this platform to help support you, especially in times of a pandemic like this. In this segment today, we'll be talking to some of our experts who will be talking about how their own lives have changed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. More importantly, we will discuss how we all have used resilience and grit to build our own routines to support ourselves and our loved ones. As a society today, we really haven't seen a pandemic of this magnitude before. And I'd like you experts to share your own coping strategies with all of us today. But before we do that, I'd like all of you to take a few minutes to talk about who you are and what you do. And the floor is yours.
Lovely. Well, I will kick it off. So my name is Marin McHugh, and I run a business called Dopamine. And I'm in year 6 of this entrepreneur life. My business is all about mental health strength training. And one of the main reasons why I started it is because I want to hold myself accountable to constantly learning and growing and sharing. And my own immense struggles with mental health for 20 plus years is the foundation of my empathy and my drive and my desire to support others and to offer hope and clear, tangible steps for other people to recognize that it doesn't matter how much darkness you're living with, there is always a way to the light. And actually, the more darkness you've experienced, the more light is in your future. So yeah, that's who I am. Did you want me to get into coping mechanisms now? Yeah,
sure.
Okay. So one of the things that I have really been taking care of, well, first of all, that the chaos that started a few weeks ago, I felt it. I felt a little chaotic. I felt like everything in my regular routine had just been blown up. So one of the first things I did was I love having whiteboards and Post-it notes all over my apartment. So I cleared off some whiteboards, and I went down to, well, what are the very basic steps that I need to honor every single day to make sure that I am taking care of my basic needs. So it started with like 1 hour of reading, 1 hour of quality connection with clients and family, 1 hour of functional movement, 1 hour of meditation and breath work. And then 30 minutes of cleaning or cooking, because that's not my favorite, but I knew that I needed to have that in there as well. So I set that up. And for the first couple of weeks of this, it was every single day, making sure that I was touching on those pieces that I knew were really important. So for me, this has been an opportunity to get back into the basic needs of sleep, movement, mindset, nutrition, and breath work. And what I've been saying to myself and to other people is that this pandemic is actually just giving us the space and the time to do the work that has always been needed. You know, we're out of the hustle, we're out of the routine, we're out of our distractions, and now we're face to face with what has been there all along. So the suffering or the grief or the fear, you know, we can blame it on the pandemic, or we can actually turn back around and recognize that that was always there, and that this pandemic is an opportunity for us to actually do the work that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll leave it there. Yeah, and I can see Brooke's face, so I'm going to nominate Brooke to go next.
Oh, Marin, that was so beautiful. And I recently, because I spend my life on Zoom already, but now I've been on a lot more Zoom and Google Hangouts and stuff. And I recently learned that this is the American Sign Language sign for same. And so in the same way that if we were in person and when you were talking, yeah, and I'd been like nodding along, I caught myself doing this for you. So I'm just sharing that little tool. If anyone, you feel inspired and you're on a video chat, you can like celebrate like this, and you can like agree, like acknowledge, or like be on board with someone by doing this. So thank you for the nomination and your beautiful words. And thank you, Anshu, for organizing us and creating the space for this today. So I'm feeling a lot of excitement that we're all here right now. I'm Brooke Ramsey, and I have a company called Infinite Courage Coaching. I'm a certified professional coach, and it has been really fun to experience what has come up for me while this has been going on, and what's coming up with my clients. So I'm learning so much about everyone's different strategies, and so I have a lot of coping ideas. But I'm feeling so grateful that while this is happening, I'm already really set up online, and that's like a big part of how I have already delivered my service. So that's really awesome. And then I'm also feeling really grateful just for all the examples of resilience I'm seeing in myself and in others. And so primarily I work with male leaders. I work with a lot of high achievers who spend a lot of time in their head, and I do a lot of stuff to help us get into our body and our spirit and experience more wholehearted living. A big thing that I'm passionate about is success and re-understanding what that definition is for all of us. Success to me means being able to live fully expressed as ourselves. And sometimes when we get caught up in the other things that success sounds like it should be from society, we might miss out on that level of fulfillment and living truly from our own desires and joy. And so that's something I liked what Marin was saying around whatever's coming up for us during the pandemic right now. Whatever's coming up for us now has always been there. And I think this is a beautiful opportunity. So there's a little bit about what I do and how that's relating to now. But in terms of coping strategies, really honoring my own disappointments has been really important. So it was my birthday on March 21st, and I didn't get to have the party I wanted. And I perform improv comedy, and I actually had a show that night that was obviously canceled. And I ended up having a Zoom birthday, which was so beautiful because I had like family and friends from all over the world log on. Some people like at 2:30 in the morning in their country were like at my birthday party, so it was great. Mm-hmm. However, it was really bittersweet. And actually giving myself the space to go, oh, this was beautiful, and this was like awesome in its own way. And I really wished I could have hugged everyone. And I really wish that I could have been in person with everyone. So a part of the coping has been, yes, I know I'm resilient. I know I'm tough. I know I can handle this. Like I'm not worried about myself, but I'm also allowing myself to acknowledge the things that are disappointing in this and acknowledge the grief. And it's okay that I grieved that my birthday party wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I also was supposed to be moving into a new office in downtown Calgary on April 1st. And I canceled that contract. I'm really disappointed about not being in that space. And so allowing myself to be disappointed, even though people are, having to change their wedding date. People are having to miss concerts, maybe of a band that they've always wanted to see, cancel trips of a place that they've spent their life savings on going to. So I think a coping thing that I would like to share to summarize is allow yourself to be disappointed in the things and don't compare your loss not being worthy of sadness because someone else has lost something greater. Just really acknowledging our own emotions, I think, is really important at this time. And Shu, was that enough? Did I do enough? Are we good?
Yes, that was
I know Kristin, so I want to pass it to her. And I love her little, she believes she could, so she did. And I just want to hear from her beautiful face now.
Oh, thanks, Brooke. Yeah, I've got it twice back there. One's really small, one's really big, but yeah, that's sort of a mindset motto that I've been really leaning into. And so I really appreciate what you and Marin both said. So thanks for your words. So my name is Kristin Dick, and I am a personal branding strategist and the founder of Avro Creative. And I get to work with ambitious women to help them reach their goals using a personal branding process that I created. And so I've been doing that for 3 years now, and it's been really fantastic. I've had the privilege of getting to know and work with so many really wonderful women who inspire me so much and continue to through this pandemic. It's been really wonderful to see the ways that they have adjusted their work, their life, and in some cases, those that are business owners, their businesses as well. So So that is what I do. And this pandemic has been a huge shift for me personally and professionally. I feel really grateful that I got to meet Brooke and a number of really other fantastic women. I hosted 2 workshops right before things were starting to shut down. And I think if it had been a week later, I probably would have canceled, because we knew a lot more at that time, and I don't think it would have been, safe enough. One of my coping mechanisms has been practicing daily gratitudes, and doing that has actually changed my life. I learned about daily gratitudes a couple of years ago, and it really did change everything for me. And so now I try to do it before I go to bed, and then when I wake up in the morning. And I find that the more I do it, the more I realize that there's so much to be grateful for and to be happy about, and just sort of rewires my brain to think about the positive things, because there's so many negative things coming. I'm a bit of a news junkie, so I've had to hide my phone on myself a few times because I get alerts, and I've deleted the Twitter app from my phone. And both my husband and I see him open up his phone and he'll like make a face, and I'm like, what now? So I've had to socially distance myself from that. So that's something really that I've been leaning into a lot lately, that has helped quite a bit. And the other thing too is just sort of reflecting on and knowing what I know about myself. And I know that I'm a very resilient person, and I've learned that about myself. But part of that is I've learned that I find the beginning of a change, whatever that change might be, to be the most challenging time. And so I am finding this really difficult. I feel like my life has been flipped upside down. And at first I was really kind of almost beating myself up that I hadn't, pivoted my business as quickly and as well as I'd seen all these other entrepreneurs do. And I wasn't, doing all this great homeschooling stuff with my kids. I was sort of stuck and really feeling it. And I realized it's okay to, feel it and kind of go through these motions. I've done this before in other, big professional and personal life challenges before. And kind of allowing myself to go through that these weeks, knowing that I will have that resilience moving forward, and I will be able to, find strength and move on. And so I think those gratitudes really apply there too, so I don't go too far down that depth of despair, but just knowing that like I can come out the other side of this, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to, help people in whatever way that I can. If they're showing strength right now, maybe they'll wear out down the road. Well, I'm there to hopefully help in some way. So so that's sort of where I'm at right now. So Tahira, we haven't met in person yet, but I would love to learn more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for kicking it over to me. My name is Tahira Jamani, and I'm a mindfulness coach. So I'm certified in the Search Inside Yourself program, which is the mindfulness and leadership course that was developed at Google. And I just got certified a few weeks ago, so I'm really excited about that. And I spent the last year in the teacher training for this. And I've also completed 2 10-day silent meditation retreats, which is part of why I'm here today doing what I do. The first retreat really profoundly changed my life, just in terms of finding clarity, direction, and alignment. And so also just managing stress, because I found that stress was handling me, and I wanted to be able to kind of take charge and handle it. And start to manage that a little bit more effectively. And so that's sort of why I do what I do now, is really to help other success seekers of the world, and those who, when you kind of feel down and out, but you got a little bit more, and you just need that extra little push or those tools to sort of help support yourself to get where you really want to get to. So I really bring mindfulness to people who don't even know they might need it, because that was my journey towards it. And the Search Inside Yourself program has been really impactful for that, because it's based in neuroscience, the scientific study. So it's a little bit more grounded in terms of the presentation of material. So yeah, really felt aligned with it. And that's kind of where I am, why I am here today. And some of my coping strategies, it's kind of been twofold actually within this time, which has been very challenging and has thrown us all a lot of change really fast. And so I've kind of been teetering on two different extremes, if you will. On one hand, it's really accepting where I have been in that moment. So noticing when I'm feeling really anxious or really nervous about just what's happening or the unknown, much like we've all been experiencing. So I found that I had to boost my daily practice a little bit more and, meditate a little bit longer, reach for the journal a little bit more, and sort of push for that too. But also noticing that if I just sort of don't want to deal with that at the time, it's okay. And just Netflix, whatever it is I need to do. But making that choice intentionally has been really impactful for me. So not just tuning into Netflix to, like on autopilot, but intentionally making that choice has just left me feeling a little bit more in control of what I can control. So that's been helpful. And also recently I started reading this book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. If anyone knows of him.
Yeah.
Such a badass. Oh my gosh. He just, on the other extreme, he's really been driving me to lean into my boundaries and just like push my limits. So in the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of new awesome opportunities come my way, which I've been super excited about, but it's been pushing me out of my comfort zone almost daily. So sometimes when you're in that zone, it's uncomfortable to be in that place for so long. But knowing that I've been kind of resilient towards it and kind of stepped into it, but also acknowledging when it's been a little bit too much and just sort of playing with those personal boundaries has been really great. So it's kind of, the pandemic's definitely brought out both. I think it's sort of extended both extremes, if you will, and made my spectrum larger on both ends, which is both great and a little scary because you can go a little bit deeper into the darkness, but then sitting with that and sort of coming out a little bit more resilient at times, and then stepping a little bit further the other direction to stretch myself a bit has been it's been a ride for sure. So that's kind of what I've been up to, and for now I'll hand it over to Andrea and let her share.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies. Feels a bit daunting to be at the bottom of the list here, just as there's so much wisdom that was shared and everything that was said was amazing. So thank you for sharing, everyone. My name is Andrea Zemro. I'm with A to Z Whole Health Consulting. So I'm a certified health coach and a Reiki master and natural movement coach. And I guess what kind of drew me to the areas that I ended up practicing in and the things that really light me up. A lot of health challenges growing up, and kind of just was told over and over again, like, that's it for you, like this is going to be your life, and you have to just accept it. But I never felt like that was the end of the road. And so, just decided to kind of take back my health for myself. And then having done so over many, many years, and like still obviously a work in progress, I want to help other people reclaim their health as well, and their whole health, not just portions or not just like limitations. Way more than that. So I guess for me right now, I feel like when initially all this happened and there's so much fear around and everyone's uncertain as to what the future looks like, I found myself getting really stuck. It felt like I was really stuck and things weren't moving, and there was like kind of that feeling of stagnation. And so acknowledging that was obviously a good first step. But I guess for me, my big coping strategy, or the tools I've been using in this period of kind of uncertainty and fear, a lot of it's making sure I have that flow or movement. So it looks like a few different things. That might be going for a walk outside, getting fresh air. So opening my windows for even just a few minutes every day to bring in some of that fresh air inside, making sure there's no kind of, or limited amounts of clutter or dirty dishes or that sort of thing at home while I'm at home. And this is my haven and my kind of 24/7 situation. I want to make sure everything's flowing. I'm having hot and cold showers in the morning. Energetically, I'm making sure I'm really focusing on that self-practice every day. And I'm staying grounded. I'm hugging trees. I'm hanging out with my plants in my home here. Just making sure that staying hydrated, all those things, just to make sure that things are flowing. So I'm not necessarily getting stuck in my physical body or in my energetic body, that things are kind of coming in and I'm just letting them go. And I think making sure that I'm staying grounded and I'm staying good in where I am, I think that's such a huge thing, because that allows, as we're all one and all connected, that ripples out. And so sometimes it doesn't feel like enough. I want to be able to help more, and I'm doing my best, but like recognizing that sometimes just taking care of myself is all I can do in that moment, and then having just gratitude for that opportunity. So yeah, those are a few like different coping strategies, I guess, but the overarching thing is keeping in that flow and trying to, just let things go through me and staying grounded.
I love that. I want to ask you about your hot and cold shower in the morning. That's something that I've been playing with occasionally, but I have a really hard time sticking with it because it's so terribly uncomfortable. But I know the science behind it. I know a lot of different people that do it, and the times that I have done it, I can't deny how good I feel.
Yes.
So what's worked for you? How have you built that as a routine for yourself in the morning?
I think I focus on how good I feel at the end, and then it becomes something that I don't feel it. Like I recognize on the days if I don't have that hot, cold shower in the morning to get things flowing, I notice a huge difference in how I feel physically. And so I can see that juxtaposition of the two. And I think that's a good thing that keeps me keeps me going back, even when I don't want to, or I feel like I'm running late or something is going on with life. But I mean, and like little tips for that, I find going as hot as I can and almost to the point where you're like in pins and needles. So then when that cold hits you, you don't really feel it as much because you're already so warm. And then, focusing on how you feel at the end, you pretty much can persevere through anything. But and then once it becomes a habit, I think that's a huge thing. So I loved how you have the whiteboards and you're writing in your kind of daily habits. I think that's such a great reminder, because there's so many things that if we don't schedule it, it doesn't happen. You definitely, you got this.
Well, thank you. I need that encouragement.
I'm curious about the cold showers too. I've done them before and they do feel so good, but I'm usually a nighttime showerer. Is there still that benefit? Because I usually, if I shower, in the morning, which doesn't happen that often, I'm more of the evening one before bed. Is there still those benefits? Because you do feel really energetic afterwards. And I want to I like to have the shower to help me kind of
I do find the cold shower does kind of wake me up, but I mean, it also makes me feel like everything's flowing. And so I think that's still beneficial to take with you into your sleep time, because basically if there's anything that's stuck or your circulation isn't flowing like it should, when you go into that restorative sleep, there is reductions. Like you want to have that circulation, you want everything flowing so that it can restore and rejuvenate you while you're resting. So I think there's still benefits to be had. I would probably not have as long a cold shower potentially in the evenings, because you are wanting to kind of get into that reduction state where you're getting ready for bed. And ironically, I guess about maybe a half an hour to an hour before your actual bedtime, if you're sleeping at the same time every night, your body temperature typically drops about a degree or so to kind of prepare you for sleep. So your body's already preparing you for that. So to bring in the additional cold shower, I think would only maybe help you sleep even better. But I typically shower in the morning, so you'd have to try it out for yourself. But I think there's still benefit for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious about that, because one of the things that I do for myself and that I help clients with for sleep hygiene is to take a warm shower or bath in the evening. Because once you step out of the shower or bath, that's when the heat gets pulled from your body, and that assists the body temperature drop even more, which is what we want to be able to fall asleep. So now I'm wondering, what would that do to have to be in the cold water in the evening, if that would support the furthering of the temperature dropping, or if it would create a switch where you step out and your body starts pulling heat in to warm up. I don't know. Maybe this is something we go and practice, and then we come back and talk about what happened.
That will be the topic for our next segment.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's experiment with hot and cold times of the day.
That sounds great.
This is the only way I'll actually do it, is to have a group that's holding me accountable.
I'll hold you accountable for sure. No problem.
It's an experiment, so now I'm more intrigued. Yeah. This is good.
That's awesome.
That is amazing. We will all try that, and we're going to talk about our own experiences in the next segment. But thank you for that, ladies. Thank you for the beautiful insight and tools you've shared with all of us today to help us cope a bit better in this pandemic. And Tahira, I'm going to download that book. I have 1 credit available on Audible, and yay, off we go. But on a more serious note,
love it, Tahira. Totally want to offline with you and fangirl on David Goggins. I have so much David Goggins love.
I'm in. Huge fan. Let's do it.
That's a great choice, Andrew, to download that book.
Awesome.
And actually, if you get it as an audiobook, I'm a physical reader. I have hundreds of books in my house. I don't usually do audiobooks, but the audiobook is read by the ghostwriter. Well, he's not really a ghostwriter, but the writer. But then after every chapter, it's like a podcast because David Goggins is on and chats about the chapters. So you actually get a lot more in the audiobook because you hear from David about each chapter. So
that's awesome. Cool.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. It is great. Thank you so much for that, Brooke. But truly, if we look around, Albertans today are facing more fear, panic, anxiety in probably 24 hours than they've ever faced in probably months. They haven't faced this much fear, anxiety, or panic. And this is true because our distress centers and our mental health centers are all overwhelmed with calls. Maybe I was thinking that we could take a little bit of time here today and share with the people of our community as to how you all are making your services available to all of them, and especially how you have pivoted to make your services available, because I know most of you were seeing people in person and connecting with them in person, but how have you taken your practice online and virtual, and how are you making it possible for people to stay healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever it may be?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I'll kick it off so we can go in order again. One of the things that I've done is I already had 2 online programs that I was running intermittently, and so I've now shifted so that they're just running now routinely. So I just finished a 6-week program, and the week it was done, I started the 4-week program. So the 4-week program is the 4 pillars of stress resiliency. Everything that I do is very science-based, and I'm continually supporting people to understand how their body works, how their physiology works, what you can control, what you can't control, so that we are more efficient with what we're paying attention to and what we're practicing, and how to actually ensure that we're getting the high quality energy that we need to continue this path towards growth and development. So that's been one of the things I'm doing. Is as soon as this 4-week program's done, the 6-week program's going to start up again. And the 6-week program is the befriend your nervous system with the art of yoga nidra. So really what I'd love to do is teach people the various basic needs that we have, and the diversity in how we can access these various basic needs. It doesn't need to look the same every day. And in fact, if it looks the same every day, it's going to stop nourishing you to the same capacity that it could if you understand how to access it from different perspectives and different ways. And so what I've done during this time is, instead of having a set number of this is the registration fee, it's now just, well, pay what you can. Whether you call it a donation or a pay what you can, or, anything. And when people ask, well, what's the minimum? I tell them, I honestly do not have a minimum. Like, if you can't afford anything, then just join in and know that your contribution with your energy is your investment. And then I've also had really lovely people in my circle who have worked with me and know the power of it, and have donated as a way to say, this can be a way of sponsoring people who can't afford it. So that way, even in those conversations, if someone says, I don't have anything to donate, it just adds more to my ability to say, it doesn't matter. Just, I'm running these with one person or 20 people or 500 people. So it doesn't matter what you can actually invest. I just really want to share this work. And so that's a big part of how I've pivoted, is just the consistency, and the doors are wide open. There's no barrier for entry anymore. And then the clients that I was working with one-on-one, we've just shifted to Zoom calls, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's very similar. I'm just taking more time to really make sure that I'm full, and that my reservoir of energy is continually refueled, and that I'm in this practice of abundance, and to be able to step back and really recognize that abundance is way more than money. If you fixate on money, you're not in abundance whatsoever. And so even in hearing what all of you wonderful, beautiful ladies are offering, and how many similarities there are in our work, to me, I'm so pumped about that. Like, and I love that when people reach out to me and we get into a conversation, I get really clear as to whether I'm the right person to support them. It's a big part of the conversation. And as soon as it gets clear that, maybe this isn't the right fit, I then pull out my resource list of all the other people that I admire and am inspired by. And then I connect that potential client with someone else, because it's not about me. It's about the work, and it's about everybody being able to elevate and level up. And that's really what abundance is. There's more than enough for all of us, and all of us need to step up and do our work, and trust that the people who are really aligned with what we offer will find us. Yeah. So everything's on my website. I'm still updating the website to be a little more relevant to the times. But I'm on Instagram daily, promoting and sharing. And I always encourage people to reach out, because this is the type of stuff that I love talking about. And so I don't turn anybody away. I just want to be in this conversation and support people. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, Marin, for that. That was true.
Yeah. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the conversation about being in abundance, and knowing that the resources and the strengths and the gifts and the contribution we all have to offer is not just money. In fact, it is so many more things than money, is a very powerful statement. I just want to reiterate from what Marin was saying. I think that's really beautiful. The concept of sufficiency. We all have sufficient X, Y, Z. It's kind of like, the what's going on with toilet paper right now. It is really evidence to us about how, if I have to hoard toilet paper, what else am I hoarding? What am I afraid of in myself? And similarly, like when we can make our offerings out into the world, like what you're talking about, Marin, okay, more people who wants this, you contribute your time and energy, that's enough. When we can do that and recognize that I'm still going to be taken care of, food's still going to be on my table, I'm going to receive love and appreciation from people that's going to fill me up so that I can serve someone who is going to financially support me in a different way. Like, that is when we get into a cycle of sufficiency. And I think what is happening around us is showing us a lot of the things that are wrong with capitalism that we have made assumptions about, and we have just followed blindly. And this is a really beautiful time to be noticing, what resources do I actually have that I can share? And then as I'm sharing them, wow, it's magnified back to me. So thank you for bringing that up. Mm-hmm. In terms of my offerings, it's been very, like I mentioned before, I'm feeling very grateful for the foundation I've already had in my business, because probably 20 to 30% of my business is in Calgary, and the rest of it is global. And so I've already been very much online. Zoom has been my place. And a really core value in my work is deep personal knowing and intimacy. And so I don't do any offerings that are like for 50, 20 people. Like I do deep one-on-one work for a minimum of 3 months. And I'm working with a lot of people up to like 2 years and more. And so I was really challenged when this happened and came up, because I noticed in myself this deep desire to serve, but a bit of unsureness of how was I going to do that, still in line with that core ethical value within my company and within me. And so I sponsored 3 new clients to do a 2-month program with like 2 months of coaching, one-on-one deep coaching, which felt right. And I had it on an application basis with men who I knew were inspired to use this time to call up their own leadership potential, and that they were drawn to serve. So I'm serving people who are living as servants. Whatever that was kind of my contribution, or one of the contributions that was important to me as this was unfolding. And in addition to that, all of my one-on-one clients are part of group collective calls like this. And I've just doubled the rate of how often I'm hosting those. Those are already included in them investing in working one-on-one with me. And now I've just accelerated how often we're meeting and the length of time that we're meeting for. Yesterday, I was on a call with 9 men for 2 hours, and it was just like amazing. And I wouldn't have done that last month, right? I would have done like a 45-minute check-in, like, you know, I was just stuck in my routine of what delivery and service provision look like. And so it's been really cool to be able to be responsive to the needs of the people I'm working with. I also, for the first time, am doing some courses, which is like, I'm very hesitant about. I'm like, I don't see myself as a knowledge provider. I see myself as a question asker and as an assumption challenger. And so to step into the role of teaching has been a little bit, you know, to speak of like coming out of the comfort zone piece. And I'm doing that through another platform called Leveling Up, which is a coach's program here in Calgary. And it's really amazing because their ethics really line up with mine in that they have a maximum of 8 people in a course, because it's really focused on, okay, we're teaching for 15 minutes and then we're doing 45 minutes of group coaching and facilitation. So I'll get to do what I actually always do anyway, with needing to create some curriculum. And so I'm very excited about the 2 courses I'm working on. One is about courage, because I really believe that's the ultimate virtue. And so it's about really tapping into our own infinite reservoir of courage, because I think we all have one. And then the other one is called Leading from Instinct. And it's about how do if I'm someone who's like really kicked ass from my brain, you know, I'm really like, I have all my accomplishments. I'm a PhD, I have a master's, I'm whatever. I'm in the leadership role because of my analytical, rational capacities, but I want to build my trust in my own intuition and instinct. That's the other course. So I'm very excited about those. So those are coming up, and I'm very, very thrilled about them. But really, it's been, how do I stay core to my values and what my business has always been, and serve more and new in this new world. So it's really been important to me to not shift too much, and to continue, even if I have an idea or I get asked to do something or something comes up, still going back and checking in, is this still foundational to my core values and the principles that I laid out when I started this business and that I've evolved into. So I think that's really important right now. Like, yes, we all need to make changes and we need to adapt, and there's going to be new ways to serve people, and we're going to not be able to serve people in the ways that we used to, but staying core to why you got into this in the first place. You know, what is the real work that you're doing? Like Marin said, it's not about me, it's about the work. So as long as I can stay core to the work, I think that I can serve. So
beautiful. Love it.
That is great.
Nice.
I feel like we have to do Brooke's little sign language here.
Awesome. Well, I'll jump in next. Thanks so much, Brooke and Marin. So my business has been about 50% online already. So all my one-on-one work, the majority of it happens through a Google Hangout or a Zoom call already. And then I do my group workshops. I'm looking at transitioning them into, you know, a platform similar to this. I'm really kind of carving out what that is going to look like, because I do really enjoy that, the deep one-on-one work, but I also love bringing groups of women together. And there's Andrea and Brooke I've had the pleasure of meeting them at my workshops, and it's honestly like magic, bringing people together. They've never met each other before, and just the connections that already exist in some cases that are created, and the ideation that happens and stuff. It's so cool to watch and just sort of help facilitate that happening. So I really miss that. And I'm not sure how that's going to translate online, but being part of this conversation and seeing this happen already here, I'm like, oh, it can happen virtually too. So that's really exciting, because that's my favorite part of my group work. So the other way that I've been pivoting my business, and it isn't in a way that I would have anticipated or expected, but it's just through listening and actively listening to the people that I've already worked with and people that I'm connected with through my social media channels. And I'm hearing that people are struggling with how to communicate. So the way that I talk about personal branding and what it means to me is it's really all about trust. And it's about building trust by being able to communicate your value with a target group of people. And so helping people understand how to build and maintain trust through these turbulent times, and that their communication means so much to a lot of people. And whether or not you see yourself as a former leader or not, it's really meaningful to people. And that a lot of the work that I do with my one-on-one personal brand development is all about personal branding from the inside out. So we look at your core values, and for some people, they've worked with a coach before, so they know their values. For some people, it's a brand new conversation for them, though, and so we're talking about what their values are. And I think right now that's so important, because it's a little bit easier to find out what your values are when you're going through all of this change that A, you didn't ask for, and B, it's happening really rapidly, because your things are bumping up for you. And explaining and understanding it as a misalignment with a value is one way to help articulate it for us. And so we can have that conversation a little bit better. So that's one of the other things that I'm seeing too. And I think we're going through this big societal shift, or at least that's what I'm anticipating. And Brooke brought up capitalism, and we've made these assumptions about it, and perhaps it's not everything we thought it was. So if we are, we're going to start to see, I believe, a lot of activists and interesting conversations happening. And if we know what our values are, I think we are going to have opinions and thoughts, and we'll hopefully also become thought leaders at this time too, and sharing our own voices. And that's another big piece of my work. So as for exactly how I'm pivoting, beyond continuing to bring more of my work online, that was already in the works. And so it's just happening now, as opposed to, in Q2. Sometimes. So yeah, and just continue to listen to what it is that people need and how I can address it. And that's what I'm doing.
Wonderful.
Thank you for sharing that, Kristin. Yes, definitely. And I definitely recommend your workshops. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Andrew.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and go next. So I've been running my business, The Chain Reaction, for just over a year. So as we know, as entrepreneurs, there are days where everything feels very fresh and new and kind of restarting the cycle. And then there are days where, you're kind of keeping within your staples. And so something that's actually was very interesting for me with the timing of all of this was I had kind of finished a slew of in-person workshops at the end of February and beginning of March. So I didn't have to pivot any of those online, which was kind of wonderful timing. And since then, I've sort of been in this space of openness, of kind of what you said, Kristin, with hearing what is needed. And before I was able to get there, I went through quite a few days of just being anxious about the situation and unsure of the change and what was happening and what was happening to me. And what I needed to do to serve and to share my tools and resources and knowledge to really support others. And so I got into a bit of a tizzy with all these ideas of people I can collaborate with and how I could bring it. And it was very exciting. And so I did what I usually do, which is spreadsheet it all out and sort of organize my way through it. And then I slept on it, and then I woke up and was like, you know what, I think these are a couple of ways that I would really like to take it. Because I also love collaborating with people. I think there's a lot of value in working together. And like you mentioned, Marin, there's so much abundance. And there's value when we work together. And so what kind of came from that was I had one of the people on my spreadsheets was to collaborate with a dear friend who's a naturopath in Ontario. And before I could actually even reach out to him about, suggesting this, he reached out to me and said, hey, what do you think about doing some Instagram lives together? And I was like, absolutely. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to try them out. I'd never done Instagram lives before. So we did our first like a 30-minute session where he talked about some natural supplements and nutraceuticals that can help with stress and anxiety. And then I shared some basics around mindfulness and then a live mindfulness practice and opened it up for question and answers. And we weren't really sure how often we were going to do this or what it would look like, but we had a really great turnout, and we just asked, how often would you want to do this? Which is helpful. And the response we got was great, that people wanted this every day. So we did it every day indefinitely, and we recently just stopped. So I think we did about 12 days or 14 days or something. And, we decided we're gonna take a break and sort of map out a bit more of a plan and do it intentionally. As I mentioned, I like to move through this time with intention. And so we're kind of readjusting that and how that's going to look. So kind of stay tuned on social media for that, kind of working out the details. And also just kind of being open to, as I mentioned, other opportunities that have come in terms of channels of ways to share. There was a great webinar that was put on by some people within my religious community. And there was a naturopath, myself, and a psychologist, and reached about 250 people across Canada, which was really exciting. My first panel, session, which was great. And so I'm just sort of staying open to opportunities that are coming, and also trying to kind of go back to my spreadsheet now and curate other ways that I can bring. I'm playing with a few different ideas in terms of how I've been pivoting and kind of back to the drawing board. So to kind of stay tuned, I guess, on sort of some of my social channels, or and we'll kind of take it from there. But I'm also all ears to the people I have been working with and trying to hear what is really needed to really bring that value and what is going to be helpful and supportive at this time.
Thanks, Louise, for sharing. It's awesome to hear how things are shifting and how everyone's doing things differently, but also a lot of overarching themes. I guess my business has been kind of more that one-on-one, really getting into it. And so it's all been in person. And so, that's been different for me to try to switch it up and more just like a mental exercise, like expanding what I think is possible, or just seeing things in a different light. Realizing that I put maybe boundaries or ceilings on myself, or how I had envisioned business to look. And so, it's cool to kind of break through that stuff and see things from a different way. For the work that I do, for the health coaching or the Reiki practice, all those things I can do via online, so Zoom or Hangouts or any of these platforms, which is awesome. And actually, it's been super encouraging to have like Reiki treatments through the interweb. It just is amazing that, I know energy isn't physically bounded by anything, and like that, I see that all the time, but I mean, to have it in such a like tangible way over and over again, to have practice with clients and see how faster things flow and like things change in a treatment when we're not physically in the same space, it's like super cool. So I'm just kind of nerding out, but so it's just figuring out how to kind of get that message out, because I don't have maybe a strong social media presence as it stands. So I'm just kind of working on that. but also, staying grounded and recognizing that everything is shifting and changing right now as well. So having to honor my self-practice, making sure that I'm staying good and I'm able to offer service in the best way that I can, while also I feel like being online a lot more than I used to be. And so, yeah, it's just a fun balancing act all the time, and it shifts every day. But it's just like slowly, I guess how they say when you eat an elephant, it's like one bite at a time. So I feel like I'm eating this big elephant. And it's a slow process, but one bite at a time. So yeah, it's good. Good growth challenges for sure.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. Thank you. That was beautiful energy flowing through all of those conversations. And I wanted to thank all of you beautiful ladies for truly showing up and sharing your practice and expertise with all of us. We all know that when mundane things become threatening, our anxiety truly skyrockets. And especially in times like this, when we can't hug somebody or run into the grocery store like normal. I have 6 people in my own household, and I have to buy milk and bread every other day. So putting gloves and a mask on gives me anxiety, and that's just me. And I'm like, oh, what is this? But that is why we are all here. And we will be definitely holding more sessions like this to talk about things that matter to help our community stay safe, strong, and resilient. So stay tuned and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Acknowledge you and share for creating this container today. So thank you. And I hope that you feel appreciated, and I hope that you feel honored and seen in the bravery and heart that it takes for you to do what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshu.
This morning, and just creating a great conversation, Anshu.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you truly for showing up and being part of this amazing conversation. I truly appreciate it. And I'm truly excited to be able to help people in whatever way we can to become stronger through this pandemic. And we'll meet again in our next segment. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.